So my niece decided to sneak off and jump into another family's picture. Child draws on dad's passport. Dad gets stuck in South Korea. Bruh, I don't know what's funnier, her little brother's ID picture or his signature. Happiness is temporary. My cousin placed a horse mask on his dog. His son didn't see the humor in it. My sister just had a baby. She brought her home today, and my other niece was so annoyed that she packed up all of her stuff and tried to leave. I kicked over my little neighbor's bike, and he says he is going to purge me. Imagine coming home from a long day at work to see this. Makes you want to turn around and go back. My daughter was chasing my son around with a lightsaber and got a little too into it. My daughter hates the sun, and she drew me a picture of her yelling at the sun. Today we asked my 3-year-old cousin how much he weighs, and he said, like 50 squirrels. I just found out this is how they x-ray small children, and I cannot stop laughing. My nephew pulled a bowl of flour off the counter. You deserve to find someone to start a family and enjoy life with. Dumb baby put his hand the wrong way. It was Princess Day at dance, and one little girl came in as a hot dog. I have never admired someone more. 4-year-old is livid because she thought we were traveling by ferry, not ferry. My kid made a newspaper for our cat while he uses the litter box. I'm 12. Let the madness consume me. The way my dad has to sit with my little sister so she will eat her dinner. 26-year-old girl disconnected her grandpa's life support to charge her phone. I'm sitting in the living room and I hear Brody say, and this is our fridge. It's where we keep our food. I walk in and this is what I see. That's not our dog. My friend's 7-year-old just told us that his worst 2 enemies are the sun and parkour. My niece asked me one day why I always wear the same tattoos. Like, boys let Black Widow spider bite them in hopes of turning into Spider-Man. New parent idea. Take a picture of you pulling baby out of a spacecraft in the forest. Hide pictures in attic for kid to find when he's 10. Dear girlfriends and wives, please hang your wigs where kids can't reach them. I nearly collapsed last night in my own house. I thought it was a Armodiraha. I found this in my son's dresser. Please God, have mercy on his soul. Got tired of my kid calling all through the night for drinks. Boom. Best $10 I've ever spent. I never understood when people say I drive wild until today. I looked back and saw my baby like this. I went to a baseball game and saw this wild kid. Where are his parents? Lions can hunt and kill their own food by the time they're 3 months old. My 3-year-old could not find her lunchbox and it was in her other hand. I cannot believe we're at the top of the food chain. In honor of their 100th day of school yesterday, my niece dressed as a 100-year-old lady. He told me I had a big nose. Mom tears up after blind son sees her face for the first time, and he hasn't even seen other noses. Savage. What the hell is this? It's called do what you can to make your child happy. When your parents won't let you go out. To Mom, let me out or I will break this family. I went to go smoke, and my little brother skipped school and was sleeping outside. My dad thought 2-year-old me was strong enough to hang from the curtain rod while he takes this picture. This is such a bad product. You might have temporary control over your tot, but you're just going to make it stronger. What's worse than an uncontrollable baby? An uncontrollable baby who has never missed leg day and could kill you with one kick. 6-year-old to her crying brother. It's okay to be sad sometimes. We need to let our feelings out. Just let yourself be sad. Me. Oh darling, that's so lovely. Well done. Why is he crying? I hit him. I'm glad we own 10,000 stuffed animals so my toddler can fall asleep cuddling with a jar of peanuts. After a heated argument with my teen who yelled out that he wanted to move out, my youngest put his arms around me and said, "Don't worry, Mom. I'll live here until I'm 60. I think he meant it to be comforting. It was not. I have a question about raising teenagers, and that question is, what the fuck? Of course you judge parents in restaurants before you have kids. That's how the human race survives. Each person thinking they can do it better before finding out no, you can't. Once when my sister was about 4, we had pizza for dinner, which my sister hated. Since she took forever to eat it, we went outside without her. So instead of eating her pizza like a normal child, she threw it up on purpose so she could play. My mom made her clean it up. Yo, this kid is riding his bike at church. Update. He just started crying because he hit one of the nuns and they scolded him. Lol, my baby sister's bag. Are those Cheetos? I'm minding my business, taking a shower at 1 something in the morning. I sneeze and hear a whisper, "Bless you," and I damn near yeeted my own child into oblivion. What is he doing? When you get little, you will understand. My son explaining to me why I'm doing his arts and crafts for him. I bought my son a book about bats, and halfway through it, he shouted, "What? Bats are real." All this time, he thought they were made up for Halloween, like ghosts and witches. If you Photoshop adults' heads slightly larger, you will end up with a group of well-dressed little kids. Today a kid asked to play tic-tac-toe with me, and I was like, yeah, sure, and he proceeded to draw this. My kid just learned, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, but he keeps forgetting and he's yelling, uh-oh, noodles, instead. The best baby age when they see another baby as though themselves are not in fact also a baby. My 5-year-old son just asked, what if we put a slice of turkey in the DVD CD player, and it plays a movie about the whole turkey's life, and none of the parenting books I've read have prepared me for this question. My daughter met poop and pee at the city wastewater treatment exhibit and cried when we had to leave them. Kids injured themselves trying to fly after watching Peter Pan, so producers added fairy dust. I just found my old diary from when I was 9, and by God, I was an idiot. Dear diary. Sorry. We went to the planetarium today, and when this voiceover said, "This is the Earth," one of the kid booed. I just realized my 4-year-old let the intrusive thoughts win. When you're thirsty, but you can't read. Wife's friend was convinced there was a ghost baby in her daughter's crib. Turns out the dad forgot to remove the mattress's sticker. My 10-year-old son just took my phone and texted this to my wife. "Honey, I got fired. He wants to get on the bus. The bus on the TV. Dad, can I tell you a secret?" "Sure thing, buddy." Grabs my face and whispers, "I just pooped, and I did not wash my hands." Toddler left looking like Pennywise after putting hair removal cream on her head. My little brother tried to cook bacon in the PlayStation. How do I clean it? He managed to get it inside the CD slot. One time, when I was snowboarding with my dad, one of the big trail map signs had a "You are here" sticker. So I asked how they knew we were here, and I think that's when he knew I was going to be a fucking idiot. 6-year-old. "I need to fart." Me. "No, we're eating." "Okay, I'll just hold it in with my hand." It didn't work. Woman in my train carriage smoothly telling the conductor that her son is traveling free because he's only 4, while the kid repeatedly yells, "But I'm not 4." Me to my 4-year-old son, "Drink your milk." Him, "Why? It will make you big and strong like a cow." Him, thinking, "So if I just drink a lemonade, I will be the size of a lemon." Yes, it was when I found myself cutting the crust off waffles at my daughter's request that I realized the power dynamics had shifted permanently in my household. I asked my new class to write one thing they would like me to know before I start teaching them. I take a long time to do a poo. My record is 2 hours 15 minutes. I remember when I was 6, I got a hold of my dad's ID and it had an expiration date. I spent 3 hours crying because I thought that he was set to die on that date. He asked me why I was crying and I didn't tell him because I was scared he was going to cry as well. Kids will say the most messed up stuff, then do a cartwheel like nothing happened. My mommy said I can't eat at your house because you're a witch. I just told my son he could mind control if he rubbed his fingertips all over my head and chanted mind control quietly. And that is how you get a free scalp massage from your kids. My kid crying, just losing her mind as I explained to her why she cannot sleep with a water balloon. I took my 5-year-old and 3-year-old to the zoo last week. I'm heavily pregnant. My eldest wandered a bit ahead and my 3-year-old said, "Don't worry mum, if you lose him, you've got another baby in your tummy. There will still be 2. When I said I would rather keep all 3, he replied, "Why? Haha, hagged. You left yourself locked in at the Sprint store." My 4-year-old is watching Toy Story for the first time ever and he just whispered to himself, "Alive, toys." I knew it. This text from my son lives rent-free in my head. How do you spell Ninja Turtle? I genuinely think of myself as an okay father, but somehow I forget to teach my 2-year-old son what an owl was, and he thought it was called a wood penguin. 8-year-old remembered to take the foil flavor packet out. She forgot to add the water. Why is everyone else acting like what they are seeing is normal? Opens bottle of bleach. Nephew, how did you open it? I tried, but it didn't open. Oh, it's because it has a child safety lock. Children can't open it. Looks up bottle in amazement. How did it know I was a child? Our dog peed on our new couch. My 6-year-old daughter documented the events, including my reaction. We found my wife's phone in the toilet yesterday. We weren't sure which of our 3 kids put it there until my wife scrolled through her pictures today. Today, my son drew in red marker all over his face, then got scared that we would be mad, so he tried to hide it by wrapping toilet paper around his head, like a mummy. Then he promptly ran into a wall and nearly knocked himself unconscious. A comedy of errors every day with this kid. Took kids parasailing and they played dead. 7-year-old girls really know how to hit you where it hurts. Dear dad, you are 1 year closer to death and a happy birthday. My daughters built a slug hospital and found 30 plus patients who are now escaping, and nothing in the parenting books prepared me for this. There is no limit to a child's imagination. My 2-year-old is yelling at me for taking too big of a bite from her pretend sandwich, and she cannot make another one because we're all out of pretend bread. Earlier my daughter asked me if grown-ups ever cry. I sat down with her, hugged her, and explained that we do cry, and that we feel scared, sad, angry, and everything she feels, and it's fine to feel those things. She then asked me if grown-ups pee. Why is your kid crying today? Mine did not get picked in a game, she was playing alone. Super excited about my 2-year-old telling me he hears Nana living in the walls. Oh cool, he's saying hi to her. You knew what you were getting into when you had children. Did I? Did I know that I would be arguing with a 4-year-old that we don't lick people's feet? Did I know that? Me in 2nd grade, making me's of literally anyone I've interacted with ever. I hate when people ask me if my baby is a good baby. Like, no, he bets on illegal dog races and stabbed a kid on the playground. Lady in Walmart told her son, "Put that shit back!" I almost put my shit back. So in 2nd or 3rd grade in my school, there was this old guy fixing our men's bathroom, but I did not know that, so when I entered the bathroom, I saw an old guy smiling, and I ran like my life depended on it, thinking I just saw a ghost, while telling everyone there was a ghost in the men's bathroom. Once when I was 9 years old, my teacher told me to write the most beautiful love story I could imagine, and I wrote a story about a shark and a horse who fell in love, and the horse jumped into the sea to be with the shark, but it drowned and died, and the shark was so sad that it also died. The teacher called my parents. It's always nice getting pictures from our son's teacher showing how he's excelling in school. So I came home from school to see my 7-year-old sister putting Skittles with my antidepressants. I went up to her and asked, "Hey, what are you doing?" She looked at me, smiled, and said, "Skittles make me happy, so I put them with your medicine. That makes you happy, so you can be extra happy." That was the cutest thing I've ever heard. Babe, I want to have babies with you. 10 hours of a baby crying. Why did you send me that? If you can sit through that uninterrupted, then I will agree to have babies with you. Lol, let's just get a puppy. Grandpa, why are you driving so fast? Your grandma is waiting for us. But grandma is dead. 8-year-olds when they realized they could have gotten Minecraft for free on September 18, 2010, but they weren't alive yet. Ah yes, the stages of life, child, pain, sleep. Hard to believe this little guy was conceived 17 months ago in the bathroom stool at Red Robin's. She's been talking into the vent for a while. At first I thought it was cute. Now I'm afraid someone is talking back. Some kids are outside, playing a car accident. I wish I would have got some on video, but they were both in the car. Then they made it tip over and started screaming help, and then one of them crawled out of the pretend wreckage and died on the spot. The other kid is screaming at him, telling him to wake up, to no avail. No, wake up, he's dead. No, so grim, so hilarious. Big goals for this kid. When I grow up, I want to be a mailbox. 2-year-old eating his lunch. Papa, coffee hot. Me, yeah, it's hot, don't touch. Me blowing it for you. It was at this point I witnessed with horror. My 2-year-old attempted to blow my freshly made coffee, only to spit a half-eaten chicken nugget straight into it. Little cousin got a mermaid tail for Christmas, and hasn't opened anything else since. Most kids have a stuffed animal or blanket. My niece has one of those plastic owls you put outside to scare away the birds. My niece ate my two-faced chocolate what the fuck is this, palette, because it smells like chocolate. I don't know if I should laugh or cry. I am above the law. I believe you. When that annoying kid running around the restaurant finally hits his head and starts crying. My wife and I never baby talk to our kids. We use full sentences and a wide vocabulary, including complex words. My son is 3 and can carry a full conversation. Adults at family gatherings are shocked at his social aptitude. My daughter isn't even 2 and she uses 4-syllable words. My wife and I never talk to our kids. We ask them to submit all communication anonymous through rigorous and double-blind peer review. My daughter is 5. I can't read this. I've been tied for 10 years. Kid. Hey, that's how old I am. Weird. The kids are building a fort. Break it. The hell is wrong with you? If we can't have nice things, neither can they. Parenting is basically just punctuating every conversation with various commands. Yes, I like your picture. Put on your shoes. My favorite color is yellow. Finish your breakfast. No, fish don't snore. Go brush your teeth. My dog is a circle because he is round. If I had 100 friends, I would turn the phone off. Daughter, what's nostalgia? Wife, it's when you miss something that's really old. Later, I'm home from work. Oh, we missed you. Nostalgia. My son's best answer this week. Explain how you figured out how much milk they drank. Thinking. I want to learn about explosions because I like to blow things up. I was in a class Zoom call when there was a faint thud in the background. My teacher peered off screen for a second, calmly remarked, "Well, my daughter just ran straight into a wall," and continued to tell us about the structure of proteins. Shout out to my 6-year-old who, during one of her Zoom classes, brought the laptop into the bathroom while I was taking a shower, causing me to scream, turn off the camera several times while she screamed, "I can't hear you because you're taking a shower." What's the dumbest thing you believed as a child? This will probably get lost, but I believed for many years when my mom told me that cows unroll hay bales as sleeping bags at night and roll them back up in the morning. My kid peed in the humidifier. There is urine misted in every fucking surface of this room. Some little kid just called me fat. So if you're in Iowa and missing a child, he's in the red LG dryer. Timothy Chamlet looks great in newly shared photos. He looks like a kid getting his photos taken on a family trip. Ooh, it's kind of cold. Kid wearing shorts in the winter to prove how tough he is. You think this is cold? Well, I'm wearing shorts and I'm not cold. I don't get cold easily. They call me Brad, the cold resistance tough guy, because I don't get cold, because I'm tough. Kids beg you to play hide and seek, and then hide like this. Stop holding on to people just because you have a history together. But they're my kids. When I was a kid, I literally thought that English was the only language, and people speaking other languages were still learning and trying their best. Wish I was as brave as my kid, who just ate 0 bites of her dinner and then asked my wife for a snack. 6 minutes after the table was cleared. Fill in the solutions. Directions, read out the problems and come up with a solution for each one. Problems. You fell on the playground and scratched your knee. Solution. Get up and deal with it. This kid is going places. Give us the child. Bought my kid Chipotle today and he pulls out this move. Ain't putting up with this. Anybody want a son? Just a reminder that you're the parent and you're in charge. Don't give that kid any color of cup you want. Lol. JK, don't do that. You will die. Quick story. My sister told my brother the vacuum is hungry, so stay away unless you want to get eaten. Following this logic, he proceeded to pour water in the vacuum, saying the vacuum was thirsty. He was full. So, why yes, I was taking care of the kids myself today. Why do you ask? So young, so honest. Name, Frankie. I earn money at home. Bye. I don't. I am a freeloader. 5-year-old me. Our baby's created by kissing. My parents. It's an oversimplification of events, but yes. Hey, do you play Fortnite? No. Why asking? Lol, your bio says Stormtrooper. It's a skin on Fortnite. How to properly dress your child. This kid is going places. Yeah, I mean, that is a better choice. Look at our lives. Look at our choices. How is this child not aged a day in 16 years? Dermatologists must hate him. Me as a parent. If having an old soul was a person. This was funny until I realized my 6-year-old was under that pile of stuffed animals. True story. When I was 8, my family took me to Disneyland, which meant it would be my first time on a plane. While flying there, the plane hit some pretty bad turbulence, and I screamed at the top of my lungs. We are all going to die. I knew that it was going to be fine. I just thought it was funny. An old lady behind me started to cry. This must look so weird if you don't speak Dutch. Honestly, she's just saying, Mummy, this one, please. I am pissing myself. We use that for training children and propping the door open when it's hot. When I was a kid, I thought that this line was referring to them using the mannequin to prop open doors that were too hot to touch, not that the room was hot. I was around 3 to 4 years old when, one time, my parents were going somewhere. My little sister and I will be left at home, so my mum decided to give me cash. It's just one piece of cash, and she told me that we will share the money if we ever need something. I ripped the cash in half and gave the other half to my sister. You're doing great. Look at this stick I found. Whoa, that's a good looking stick. Parents on bus. A child gave my son his tablet in exchange for an Oreo cookie today on the bus. Please contact me for your tablet back. My 6-year-old watching me pour Drano down his bathroom sink. What's that? It dissolves whatever gunk is clogging up your drain. Cool. Even the screwdriver down there. The what? A tip to new parents. 3-year-olds will lock you out of the house in the snow without remorse and will think it's the funniest thing that's ever happened in the history of the world. What happened on the coffee table? 5-year-old daughter. Elsa killed all the stormtroopers. My toddler just spent 5 minutes explaining that he can't use his imagination because he traded it to a kid at daycare for some fruit snacks. Okay, bro. She's crying because she is cold but doesn't want to put on her sweatshirt. As a kid, my sister told me that we had an older brother that died. She said he died when he was playing bowling and his fingers did not come out the ball and slid all the way down the alley, then turned into a skittle. Fun fact, I had such a low grasp on reality when I was younger that when my dad died, I actually waited for him to respawn. Being a parent sometimes means a frantic effort to get your kid breakfast, dressed, and in the car, only to pull up to the school's drop-off zone 2 minutes before school starts and have them say, but I'm not wearing any shoes. My mum told me that when one of my sisters saw a chicken for the first time, aged 18 months, she laughed so hard she vomited. What did you do at school? Memorize stuff. What stuff? I don't remember. Letting my 4-year-old play Mario Kart had some unexpected efforts. Last night, he told me he was afraid of the storm, as there might be lightning and he is already small and does not wish to shrink even more. I'm in church right now and this is happening. Listen, I'm not the biggest fan of kids, but if a child looks at me, then you bet I'm going to smile back. Kids deserve to experience the world as a kind and safe place to explore, okay? But the world is not kind or safe, then do your part to make it that way. Stop disliking my videos. I can hack you. Kids make no sense. My 5-year-old was overheard by his idiot teacher telling his friends I was a big robber with lots of guns. The next thing I know, the police are searching my house for guns and stolen gear. By the way, I am not a robber, nor do I have or keep weapons. Police were quite apologetic. Friend's kid did the same when he told his kindergarten teacher his dad had dead bodies in his car. Friend's husband owned a mortuary and had the contract with the county coroner to remove bodies from crime scenes. My friend's son, struggling to pick up a book, 6-year-old, fast forwards all the way through a movie. You can't just skip to the happy ending. I don't have time for problems problems. I think my favorite part of being a mother has been sacrificing my body, mental stability, and physical appearance to wait on them hand and foot, only to be met with, "You don't do anything for me," when I ask them to pick up a fruit snack wrapper. It's very rewarding. Apparently I pack an apple in my 5-year-old's lunch so we can get out of the house for a few hours. Dads, don't tell your daughters they are pretty. Tell them they're strong. Tell them they're smart. Tell them that they can't get prosecuted for theft until they're 10. 4-year-old, why do you go to work? They pay me a salary. 4-year-old, me. I don't even like celery. My daughter turned 1 yesterday. Instead of having her pick out her future career, I had her pick out something a little more important, her starter Pokemon. Father's Day, the kids have made me breakfast. My son just came up to me with a bag of chips and said, "Dad, I can't eat this. The bag is broken," pointing to the open end of the bag. Me, thinking he was just being a 5-year-old, making a big deal out of some minor grievance. There's nothing wrong with it. Just eat the chips. Son, I can't. The bag's broken. What does this have to do with the chips? No, I can't eat it because there's a hole in the bag. Yeah, that's how you open it. Here, give me the bag. He sighs and carefully hands it to me. I grab it by the open end, and the chips immediately fall out from the bottom. Both sides of the bag were open. I told you. You did tell me. Overheard in the men's room, father and 4-year-old in a separate stools. Dad, don't take off all your clothes. Okay, tell me when you are done. Are you taking off all your clothes, Dad? No, nobody does that. I do that. I know. That is why I'm telling you not to do that. Okay, are you done? Yeah, come out then. I have to put my clothes back on. God damn it. Can't wait until my 11-year-old understands money slightly better. Been food shopping with my kid for years. She's 11 and now has developed an opinion on everything. She questioned me on why I buy generic brand items over brand names. I explained, when you only have $100, you cannot use it all up buying brand name foods. It goes further if you buy items at a good price. She says, okay. 5 minutes later, when checking out, cashier greets us. How you doing today? My daughter replies, it could be better. We can't eat brand named foods because my dad is cheap like a bird, and flocks her arms and goes, cheap, 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 cheap. My goodness. When I was little, my dad told me that the star on the family telephone was actually a snowflake, and that meant he could call Santa and tell me to put coal in my stocking coming Christmas, and that's how I knew never to misbehave. I ended up with this 11-year-old kid who just started playing the game, while my other random teammates told him to shut up. I thought I would be nice and teach him how to play, since I remember being an 11-year-old playing Halo 3, and it made my day when older people were nice to me. He was so happy someone talked to him. He beatboxed for me, did a Russian impression, told me how Assassin's Creed is his favorite game, and then told me I'm the first person who wasn't mean to him. Bro, look at what I just seen at the store. Been all over the mall looking for this boy. A picture paints 1,000 words. My little bro spent a night at my house. Look at how this guy sleeps. I found my son's book of bad superheroes. Man, the strength of 2 men. Mum uses cardboard cutout of herself to stop kid crying when she leaves room. My son thought the crowd gathered at the park was for him. You don't know pain until a little kid draws stick figures of the whole family, and you are the only one round. I brought my nephew a cake to class for his birthday. Before I took the picture, he said, why? I don't even like these kids. My little cousin got mad because I said he looks like a Victoria's Secret bag. If you could revive someone who is dead, who would it be? My dad. He died of cancer. Haha, that's lame. I would choose Tupac. Could hear a faint scream. I started to panic, ran to the noise, turned a corner and found this. Congrats, kid. Never actually seen anyone do this in real life. Take back to the time when my fish that lived for 3 years died, and I did not have a picture with it, so I made my mum take one. My kid randomly told me, I'm going to do Namaste in the backyard. Be back soon. This is apparently Namaste. Father's Day message. Kids, please don't rush things. We all love you, so always remember that, even when you're dead. Some baby on this plane is singing the ABCs all out of order, and a guy shouted, yes girl, a remix. This is my little baby cousin, and he is dressed as a smoke detector for Halloween. None of us know why, but he is really obsessed with smoke detectors. That is all he's asked for in the way of presents these past 2 years. One of y'all's sons has a crush on my daughter and gave her his glasses today. His prescription glasses that he cannot see without. Just like a boy doing anything to impress a girl. Giving up the gift of sight is crazy. I've been telling my daughter to take this mask off for over 3 hours. She's not listening. I walk out of a Target to the scene of a child laying motionless on the ground. I ask what was wrong, and the dad said, he's upset his gloves match his jacket. I interrupted my Twitter break to tell you that Abigail started crying because her gift got wet. The gift. I hate playing make-believe with little kids. You shoot them with a laser and they're like, actually, I went back in time, so it doesn't count. The hell are you talking about? You just casually ripped open a hole in the space-time continuum. That is irresponsible as hell, pal. My 7-year-old just got mad at his brother and called him ugly, and his brother got really upset about it and started crying. They are identical twins. Identical twins. twins. My son named a piece of birthday cake Keiki, then got too attached to it to eat it. We saved it for him the next day, and he decided to eat it the next day because he did not want it to get old. He cried the whole time, saying, "I'm sorry, Keiki," between bites. Today my 3-year-old niece cried because she remembered she hit her leg somewhere 3 days ago. She said she forgot to cry about her leg that day. Children are so strange. I just had 7 young boys on my front porch demanding to see my cat. They had a leader. I opened the door, and before I could greet them, he said, "Where's your cat? I know he's in there. We see him in the window, and he's real fat. I don't know what to do here." My mother sneezed into her elbow while muted during Zoom school, and her students thought she was dabbing and cheered. My brother is crying because we're burning some wood in the fireplace. Me, "It's time to get dressed for school." 3-year-old, "Okay, I just have to do something first." The something. My toddler got mad that her poop came out in 2 pieces instead of 1. She accused my husband of cutting it while she wasn't looking. Don't laugh, but when I was little and it was pouring outside, I thought that God and Satan were fighting, so I used to get my belt and hit the ground so I could help the Lord out. My 7-year-old was tapping away on my Mac tonight and told me he was writing a book, The Killer Forest. One day, there were 7 pairs of underpants. They were not ordinary. They were evil. As a mother, this is hands down the most beautiful Valentine's Day card I could ever get. I don't care. Bedtime was half an hour ago. My 6-year-old just walked out, blurry-eyed, and asked his father if a duck is a predator. Some things are too important to go to bed without knowing. I set out a suitcase to pack for my flight later today, and spotted my 3-year-old crawling inside of it to hide. I casually zipped it up and yelled, "I'm off to the airport, everybody," and carried it to the car. I've circled the block twice and my luggage hasn't stopped laughing. My 8-year-old asked me where Mississippi was. I told him to Google it. This was his search. The internet is really ruining kids. Write the definition of cab. Lying. The kids blamed the footprints on the dog. Fun fact, my parents got married on April Fool's Day, so when I was 7, I tried to be funny and I made them an anniversary card that said, "Your marriage is a joke," and my mum cried. Apparently, my kid got in trouble today for packing our toaster in his backpack and pulling it out at lunch to make Pop-Tarts for his class. I can't stop laughing. Once, when I was 9, my teacher told me to write the most beautiful love story I could imagine, and I wrote a story about a shark and a horse who fell in love, and the horse jumped into the sea to be with the shark, but it drowned and died, and the shark was also so sad that it died. The teacher called my parents. My son was asked to combine 2 animals for his biology class. He refused to let me help him order his food because he's a big boy. Now his ass is sitting in the back, mad as hell, with his egg on a hot dog bun, with jalapenos and black olives for breakfast. You gonna learn today. The teacher told kids to draw their mum's hobbies. My mum likes drinking. Kids working together to create eternal recess, the uprising we deserve. My son keeps grabbing fists of air and screaming, "Mine." My daughter is crying, saying TJ is stealing my air. They are in my bedroom on a Saturday morning. Almost 2-year-old for sale. Has been crying for 10 minutes because he can't get in the oven with the cornbread. Entertaining all offers. My little brother is 13 today. I miss those days I used to say, "I bet you can't get me water from the kitchen in 5 seconds," and he would pace it. Lol, dumb guy. I told my students to write, "Excuse me." Not to brag, but what a time to be childless. You are not wrong. While I was rocking my 7-month-old to sleep for her nap, my 3-year-old took a loaf of bread into his wardrobe and took a bite out of every single slice. 6-year-old, do dragons fart? Me, I don't know. I thought you went to college. My daughter just ruined Toy Story forever. She said if one of the toys died, Andy would not know, and he would carry on playing with its corpse. I tried to be nice and gave this little kid $20 for orange juice and his orange juice stand, and he called me stupid because it was only $1. I have a friend that insisted on dressing up like a clown for his family picture back when he was like 8, and it's my favorite picture ever. Why is he sitting like a 14th century monarch? He is one. I remember when I was like 6, I thought that if you liked drinking alcohol, you were an alcoholic, and I didn't realize being an alcoholic was a bad thing. So when my aunt asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, I said, I want to be an alcoholic just like my dad. When I was little, I learned what schizophrenia was from television, and for a while I was really afraid because I thought I had it since I always heard my own voice in my head. So finally, I told a doctor, and he informed me that what I was experiencing was called thinking. When I was a kid, I had this game called Worm Church, where I'd bring worms to my room and read them the Bible. I went through my son's iPad this morning, How to Fight My Dad. I bought ourselves some peace and quiet for $3. The last one standing with $1 still on the wall wins the money when you didn't get to press the elevator button. Kid at the park just told me it's her birthday today. I asked her how old she is, and she said 5.5. Story absolutely crumbling. I wished her a happy birthday, but I crossed my fingers while I did it. If a kid shoots you with a Nerf gun, you are supposed to die a dramatic death and explain, airplane. You shot me, bleh. Abducted child set free after annoying his kidnapper by singing gospel songs. Did your parents ever tell you the joke where they would say if you were kidnapped, you'd annoy the kidnapper so much they would give you back? In first grade, I wanted to be a bird, and one day I remember my neck and my arms being covered in little red bumps, and I thought the transformation was beginning, and I ran to my teacher crying, saying I was not ready to become a bird yet, and it just turned out I was allergic to yogurt, and I wasn't turning into a bird at all. My niece said I was going bald, so unprompted, she cut off a lock of her hair for me. I hope the tape holds. My 4-year-old is losing his shit because I won't put a band-aid on his eyeball. I messed up. Don't mess up. I'm 11, by the way. I love watching kids meet dogs. They are always like, my grandma has one just like this, except she's red and small and doesn't bark and has 3 legs and is a lizard, and she's dead now. Kids are the best, man. They get all shocked when you figure out they did something wrong, like, Mum, how did you know I colored on the table? Because you wrote your fucking name on it. Bro, grade 7 me was wild. After school detention, reason, pretending to do it with the table, repeatedly asked to stop but carried on. I wouldn't let him touch a washed up jellyfish. When I was a kid, I liked strawberries so much that I would eat them until I got sick. Here is one of those times. A child, what's that? Me, holding an Oreo milkshake. It's spicy, you won't like it. One time, when I was 11, my dad took me to an Italian restaurant, and the waiter asked what my name was, and I said, Sam, but you can call me Captain Ravioli. And my dad just looked at me and said, what the fuck was that? Don't do that. And I've been chasing that high ever since. My son bet me that he could make a piece of paper fly farther than I could, so he spent 10 minutes making the fanciest paper aeroplane I have ever seen. The look on his face when I crumpled mine into a ball and launched it across the house was priceless. Sucks to be a loser. I just remembered that when I got my first dog, I was 7 and he was 1. 7 in dog years. And I cried when he turned 2 because I did not think a 14-year-old dog would want to hang out with me. Walk around your vehicle before you leave. Take note. I think that this one should be shared as much as possible. Unsure if you want kids or not. My son told me he throws the grapes that look funny behind the couch, and I just found his secret pile of rotting fruit. Caught my son chugging Parmesan cheese. Not kidding, your daughter just poured a glass of water on her head while sitting on the couch, and I said, oh, why would you pour that on yourself? And she goes, cause I can, and it feels nice. My son's school was having issues with messy bathrooms, so every month they reward the boys or the girls with ice cream depending on whose bathrooms are cleaner. And according to my son, it's become a prank war where they just fuck up each other's bathrooms. Digging through my old boxes, my wife found her wedding purse. She let the kids play with it since they like pretending they're princesses and such, and they've been carrying it around excitedly like it's a great treasure. It turns out they've been using it to store pepperoni. The 6-year-old flatly refused to believe that we used to navigate using maps made out of paper. You mean like pirates? The teacher asked my kindergartner what his favorite season was, and he said garlic salt. My son is terrified of the Loch Ness monster right now. Absolutely terrified. He keeps asking me questions about it. Can it get out of the lock? Is the lock far away? I have no idea where he heard about it. I told him it can drive and could be in our town in 20 minutes. My son kept telling me his best friend was called Joe Fish. I asked other people did they know this child. No one did. Turns out he was called Joseph. When I was 9, I watched Frozen and I thought I had the same powers as Elsa because I had dandruff, so I told my class I had snow powers and started scratching my scalp. Me, eat your vegetables. Baby, no, eat an airplane. Delicious. My sister takes her kids' Nintendo Switch away at night, so the kids made a fake Switch and tried to swap the real one and put the fake one in its place. Today, a kid asked to play tic-tac-toe with me, and I was like, yeah sure, and he proceeded to draw this. My 11-year-old just screamed across the skate park, Mum, did you ever get our health insurance reinstated? I want to do a trick. There was a spring in 2nd grade where every single recess I would walk out to the most remote part of the playground, die dramatically, and lie motionless for the entire 20 minutes. I was trying to trick a turkey vulture into coming down to eat me so I could grab it as a pet. My 3-year-old niece ordering a jacket potato, then crying when it arrived because she thought it was a potato wearing a jacket. One of my clearest memories of my grandfather is when he beat me in chess and I cried because I was a sore loser, and he said, okay, I will play you left-handed, and then I won, and it took me until like last week to realize he was a clown bastard. What is a childhood anecdote that says a lot about you? Mine is that when I was 8, my friends and I went door to door selling homemade keychains so we could buy Bibles for our bullies. When I was 6, I pretended to be a tiger for a solid month, and my parents wouldn't take me out to eat for like a year because I asked a waitress for a small cup of blood. My 4-year-old has been carrying a small notebook around all day. She opens it, writes small scribbles, and quickly closes it back up. up. She's calling it her secret diarrhea, and maybe someday I'll correct her, but definitely not today. I feel bad for teachers because I distinctly remember my mum bursting into tears once when she was grading papers and she was just mumbling, "They're so goddamn stupid," over and over. Every time I read this, I laugh a little harder. My 4-year-old cousin is freaking out because we went to a restaurant and the forks had 3 prongs instead of 4. Every time someone said the word fork, she said, "No, it's a 3. I can't wait for this kid to be old enough to use Tumblr. My children are currently trying to murder each other because my 8-year-old son won't stop telling my 5-year-old daughter that her real birth name is Big Jim. He could not open this bag of cereal with a fork. My 8-year-old has started talking back and then saying out loud, #roasted, and dabbing. Not one of the parenting books prepared me for this. There was a massive unflushed jobby in the toilet. I asked my boys who did it, and my 10-year-old son said it was him. My 5-year-old son is crying because he says it was him, and his big brother is taking the credit. Have a great week, everyone. To the student who keeps taping hot Cheetos to things in my classroom, why? The distance between the sun and the earth, 149 million kilometers. Yet, this kid decided to put a ladder to watch the solar eclipse. I work at a big chain bookstore. Someone at another store found this while tidying up the children's department. If you laugh at a kid's joke, that kid will tell the exact same joke at a slightly louder volumes, 8,000 times in a row. Good evening, who needs a free Happy Meal? We have 18 available. My 5-year-old knows how to use Grubhub. My friend's 4-year-old son would not go back to sleep because he wanted to keep looking at the stars, and she tried to bribe him with a piece of chocolate, and he just said, "Would you rather get a reward or be happy?" and turned back to the window. Oh my god. Y'all, I am sick with the virus, and look what my son made for me and left on the table, right outside of my bedroom door. Simple facts I'm terrified of my toddler discovering. Public parks don't randomly close. Televisions don't run out of batteries. There is no actual world record for fastest at putting away toys. Chicken the animal and chicken the food are one and the same. Got any to add? Dad, isn't it weird that the word chicken can mean an animal or a type of food? My kid, on the verge of making a horrific realization. My friend Luke did not realize until he was an adult that lukewarm was a real temperature. He thought it was just a term his mum used to describe his bath water. My toddler just spent 5 minutes explaining that he cannot use his imagination because he traded it to a kid at daycare for some fruit snacks. Okay bro. My daughter said, "Dad, I like your car because it's made of human skin, because we have tan fake leather seats." My kid crying, just losing her mind as I explained why she cannot sleep with a water balloon. 6-year-old son, who would win in a fight between a hippo and a lion? Me. I don't know. Maybe the hippo because he's big and can stomp. Wrong. The lion has a knife. The lady across the street must think I'm the worst mother. Has she ever seen me playing nicely with my kids? No. Has she seen me chasing my naked 5-year-old around the yard trying to get my keys from him because he locked his brother in the car? Yes, all 3 times. Mom, I don't want dinner. Me, I'm not making you dinner. I'm making you a big snack. Yay, snacks. Phone rings in the middle of the night. Me, answers phone. Hey, this is Josh with toxicology. Doc, hey Josh, we have a kid here with cyanosis, blue tongue, blue lips. Hold on a second. Whispering in background. Never mind, they had a blue Jolly Rancher. Bye. When I was 8, a man came to the front door and talked to me for a bit. He then went around the back and went into the house. I told my mom that some guy just showed up and went into the back door. My mom ran to the back to investigate. Turns out it was my dad, who had just shaved his mustache. Kids say the darndest things. Kid came up to me and asked for a free cookie, and I said I can't do that. So he asked how he could get a free cookie, and I said if you come back later and we have a broken one, we will give it to you. He goes, "Can I pay you $2 to break one on purpose?" The cookies are $1.50. Jumping off a tree for 620 subscribers. When I was around 5, I went to a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, and the music video had a giant Mr. Munch above. My dumb self thought it was real, and that at school, Mr. Munch would be on top of the building. I remember I used to think adults never slept. Now, hear me out. You know how people say, he's been in his room all night, or I'm going to spend the night studying. Well, my 7-year-old self thought they were actually spending all night doing whatever, but I remember thinking, I cannot wait until I can stay up all night. My little cousin, Arjun, got caught using ChatGPT on his 7th grade English homework. My 7-year-old son made me a cup of coffee that somehow tasted like beef stew. Mom, I put a sprinkle of that brown stuff in it you like. The brown stuff I use is cinnamon. The brown stuff he used was dry rub seasoning. In the best yet things my nephews have done, the 7-year-old ordered a burger today and was asked if he wanted it medium. Could you please make it very large? He asked, told that the choice was between medium and well done. I took a picture of my kid's chest x-ray to show the family. He had pneumonia. I showed the kid and he gasped. Then in an awestruck voice, he said, "I have a skeleton. I was in Walmart in the soap aisle where a toddler said hi to me and then proceeded to start poking my butt and was going, "Heini, Heini." And when her father came over, she went, "Dad, Heini." And he mortifyingly went, "Stop touching that woman's Heini," and apologized. In primary school, we had a creative writing assignment where we had to write about a character in a new strange situation, and I wrote about a squid that was somehow teleported from the ocean to the forest floor and slowly choked to death for 2 pages, and I will never quite forget my teacher's face because it turns out she wanted, "This school is scary, I hope to make friends," and not a graphic description of a squid dying. A 7-year-old girl asked me to interview her about the craft of storytelling, and after each of my answers she said, "Correct," and pensively wrote 2 letters on a note card. One time she drew a frog instead. I just witnessed a child have a meltdown in the pumpkin patch because he wanted to go to the pumpkin patch that he was already standing in. Y'all parent every day. Oh my god. Once when I was a little kid, my family was out at a fancy restaurant, and I ran over to the table next to us and asked the woman sitting there, "Excuse me ma'am, are you fat? I am never allowed to forget this." Was she fat? I have no memory of the actual event, but according to my parents, yes, she was massive. My brother used to think that a man sat under the escalators and operated them. He also thought that man's name was James, and that was his real dad, not our dad. So every time we passed the escalator at the mall, my brother would scream at our dad, "You're not my real dad, James is my real dad." What the fuck? Said she hates me and I'm not her real dad and she wants a DNA test. I'm like, "You're adopted." She's like, "I know, I still want the test." I don't think she understands about DNA. County child orders $1,000 worth of Grubhub when playing on his dad's phone. Saw a few kids playing cricket in the park. Maybe didn't have a coin, so for the toss, they launched one of themselves in the air. If he lands butt first, heads. If belly first, tails. He landed sideways, got up, and shared the idea of launching the cricket bat. Blue team won. Parents want me to be healthy as a kid, so they have gummy vitamins and lots of supplements. I ask my mom one a day if I can have one of her women's multivitamins. These are for girls, you can't take them or else you will grow bubs or something. I wake up in the middle of the night and eat all of the remaining gummies. Instead of becoming a girl, I end up in the hospital and almost fucking die. Parenting is okay, except for every once in a while when my 3-year-old requests ham hands for lunch, which is when she takes 2 handfuls of ham and eats them in the living room while she watches television. My daughter woke up at 5 because of crows outside. She stuck her head outside the window and said, "Mum, the bird witches are calling me." And to sum up, I have my next book, and also I need to call a priest. Major casual interference issues in our house at the moment. My 2-year-old thinks coats makes the air colder, so keeps putting hers on when she's too hot. When my daughter was 3, I told her to stop trying to draw on the dog with crayons. She threw the crayon on the floor, looked at me dead in the eye, and yelled, "Dad, you're ruining my life. Does anyone know where I can buy a lump of coal?" My kid is not naughty. He wrote to Santa he wants a lump of coal for Christmas. I tricked a 4-year-old into not wanting my Nutella by calling it hazelnut butter. Evil. I accidentally flushed the toilet instead of letting my kid do it, which in the toddler community is a crime punishable by death. So this is why my kids have to hurry up and go back to school. I just brought these chocolate chip cookies and my son ate all of them and had the audacity to place some Cookie Crisp cereal inside after he ate them. When I was 12, I read that if you folded 1,000 origami cranes, you would be granted 1 wish. I proceeded to fold 114 because I wanted to wish for a Lego set. I'm in the living room and my kid yells at me from the kitchen, "Mom, don't look at me." Me, why not? Because I don't want you to see me. Hello, your child says his weekly crossword gets eaten by his dog every week. Is there any way to secure the crossword from the dog's reach? Thank you. 28 girls hospitalized with anxiety after playing with a Ouija board. When I was a kid, like 6, I thought that the reason actors got paid so much was because every time you wanted to watch a movie, they would have to act it out and stream it to you. A kid in my son's class explained to me that she was sure she has 2 mums because he has the pretty mum and the other mum. He described each to me in some detail. Reader, both are me. My kid, looking over my shoulder as I sign an email. "You are not a doctor." Me, "Yes I am. What do you think I was studying for all the time when you were little?" "Oh, I thought he just liked reading books and crying." A fly landed next to him. There's a kid on my nephew's soccer team that thinks he's a dinosaur, so he's just out there screeching and biting other kids on the field. I love my nephew, but I'm only here to watch Velociraptor. Mum, what if they aren't stars? Me, what if they're holes poked in the top so we can breathe? Fuck. My Bible teacher asked the class, "What What biblical character had a conversation with a donkey? And my little sister answered, Shrek. My kid was upset about being in timeout, so she did the only logical thing her 4-year-old brain could think of, which was to act like a Pikachu, using a thunder attack on me. Then we stared at each other in silence, until she whispered, nothing is working. She's too powerful. My son didn't want to be a tiger or a superhero. He wanted to be a traffic light. Today my son drew in red marker all over his face, then got scared we would be mad, so he tried to hide it by wrapping toilet paper around his head like a mummy. Then he promptly ran into a wall and nearly knocked himself out unconscious. A comedy of errors every day with this kid. Do you know what's wild? Remembering that children hear things for the first time without context and are literally like, what? I just said, see you later alligator, to a 4-year-old, and I think it was the first time they have ever heard that. They froze in their tracks, looked at me completely bewildered, then replied, see you later, chicken, then kept walking. Yesterday in the park, I saw a toddler screaming, bad dog, at a goose, and I can't stop thinking about it. Toddler accidentally orders $1,800 worth of Walmart furniture. The dumbest rumor you've heard about yourself. When I was in middle school, people were saying I was homeschooled, even though I went to the school. I was playing volleyball in the gym with the kids, and this little boy got hit in the head, and I was like, oh geez, you okay dude? And he just said, yeah, I'm real strong, watch this, and punched himself in the face. I told him to be gentle with his brain, and he told me, no, really, it's okay. And I had to physically block him from slamming his forehead into the brick wall. Superman's preschool teachers all deserve a raise. Yesterday morning, after his scooter game, my 6-year-old asked me, how come the other team gets to change the color of their jersey every week, while we always have to wear purple? When I explained that, in fact, we were playing against different teams each week, his mind was blown. Apparently, my 9-year-old nephew wanted permission to make a Facebook account, and my sister was like, no, you're 9. Then he figured out how to make one behind her back, and got caught immediately when he sent her a friend request. What is the cutest mistake you've seen someone ever make? My 12-year-old son called me at work early one evening. He was trying up with making dinner for his siblings and for me and his mum before we got home. I could hear the frustration in his voice. He was trying to mash the potatoes. Holy cow, Dad. I've never realized how strong Mum was. I can't do it. It took me a minute to think, and then said, son, did you cook them all the way? He replied, cook them. When I was maybe 6 or 7, a television channel held a huge competition that led entrants to win a huge bundle of Disney prizes if they phoned in and did their best Tarzan yell. I begged and begged to be allowed to call in, and not only did my mother let me, I actually got through. Problem was, I did not really like Tarzan all that much, and thought that a Lion King roar would be much cooler. A while after arguing, the person answering the phone, I think they gave up on trying to get me to follow the rules, let me do a shitty roar at them, and hung up. I did not win any prizes. I will never forget the time my brother missed the bus and wrote my mum this note. I'm not reading all of this. Everyone has a, I wonder what would happen if thoughts, but toddlers actually do that. I respect it. 6-year-old boy returns $2,000 he found. I pray my kids aren't this dumb. As a dad, what would you do if your daughter did this? I'll be frustrated at first, then I would say, let's go do mama's car. Went to my girlfriend's house, and her sister is swimming in the fish tank. I wouldn't let David electrocute himself, so I'm the asshole. 7-year-old got Apple AirPods for Christmas, and swallowed one. I just want everyone to know that my 2-year-old insisted on being pants for Halloween. Toddler laughs as 5 firefighters try to free him from a locked car. The absolute madman. My sister just had a baby. She brought her home today, and my other niece was so annoyed. She packed all of her other stuff and tried to leave. LeBron shirt at practice. Vote or die. LeBron, I'm only 12. I can't even vote, dude. And I don't want to die. When you ask a first grader to write letters to people in a nursing home, time's almost up. My little brother learned how to use the water dispenser for our fridge, and my 2 older children were trying to lay out all of their Pokemon cards, but the youngest kept intervening, so they duct taped him to a chair. Kindergartner makes 911 cool after dad drives through red light. I could never disown my child for being gay or active, but if I raise a snitch, they have to pack their stuff and go. Once I was babysitting my neighbor's 6-year-old, and she asked me why I was so ugly, and without thinking I said, I'm you from the future, and she cried for like 30 minutes. Kids imagining what life would be like at 40. I am 40. I have wrinkles and gray hair. I would have a walking stick to help me walk. I am 40. I am turning old. I just left work because I cannot manage going up and down hills. I know I will die. Jeez. Walked in on my kids playing with these. I'm raising a little doctor. Nah, you raising a little serial killer. A child ripped up their allowance because he wasn't happy with the amount. His mum walked out of her room and saw this. What would you do if this was your child's behavior? Keep it and give him a piece of it anytime he asks for money. I wouldn't let her drink the chemicals under the sink. Babysitting. I gave my nephews $5 each. I told them to hold it against the wall with their nose. Whoever dropped first would lose, with the winner getting to keep both. Kept them both busy for 3 hours. Ever since my daughter found out about our plant, Serena wasn't getting enough sunlight. She insists on taking her out for walks while holding her up to the sun. Went through my son's iPad this morning. Paw Patrol, Barney, How to Fight My Dad, How to Hump. I wouldn't let him eat a battery for breakfast. Flower Girl just messed up the wedding. Yeah, that's gotta hurt. My son is 2.5 years old, and this is his favorite book. Today, I noticed something wrong with the soap. I work at a haunted house. One kid I scared started Fortnite dancing in self-defense. Another one called me Zaddy. This little guy told his dad that he wanted to learn how to train his dog, and his dad said there were lots of dog training videos on YouTube. So here he is, showing them to the dog. When I grow up, I want to be a dog. Father's Day message. Kids, please don't rush things. We all love you, so always remember that, even when you're dead. My son uses his bed as a toy storage and then sleeps on the floor instead. What's the dumbest rumor you've ever heard about yourself? When I was in middle school, people were saying that I was homeschooled, even though I went to school. When my son Seth was little, he would beg his brother to put him in this particular pillowcase and swing him around. I know it's insane, and the only reason I'm telling you now is because they are grown up and I cannot lose custody of them. I always told people I met Michael Jackson, but now that I found this picture, man, what the fuck? Who the fuck was this? So my 4-year-old nephew asked me to draw him Harry Potter. He then excitedly shouted, "I'll do the legs." I remember once I heard the phrase, "beat your meat," when I was 12 and heard it felt good, so when I was alone, I punched my nuts as hard as I could, then cried for an hour and threw up on the floor. Keep your toddler busy by letting them paint the fence with water. If your son traded a Nintendo Switch for a fidget spinner today, please message me. So my dad comes in and tells me he's decided to take a look at my 8-year-old's little brother's search history on his iPad. Barbecue sauce on titties. I just learned the F word is fuck, a legend. Dear diary, bish. I would try reading this, but I actually can't. My kid just discovered you can photocopy anything, and now he's trying to prank me. For revenge, photocopy his dinner. A woman put on this dress when she cleans her house, and the reason is that she told her 2 children, who are terrified of her, that this leopard woman is visiting our house to clean. If you don't make the house dirty, she won't have to come back. When I was 8, I got lost at the mall and started crying because I couldn't find my mum. So then a security guard came to help me, but I punched him in the nuts as hard as I could because stranger danger, and that dude still had to help me find my mum. I think about him a lot. When I was 8, I had an older YouTube channel with like 3 subscribers. Once I hit 5, I was going to do a fan meetup, and I put my actual address in the description of the video. My daughter had a complete existential breakdown one day when she found out that she was going to have to pee every day of her life. Wait until she finds out she dies. Dad shaves beard for the first time. Yeah, he's crying. She's using 100% of her brain. Not all kids are stupid. Today I saw a kid at the supermarket, which suddenly started staring at me, realizing I only have one hand, and ran away shouting, "Mom, the zombies are coming." My 7-year-old told me that Jeremy gives her all the answers at school. As the conversation went on, I found that Jeremy is her brain. She named her brain Jeremy. The story behind this picture has me rolling. So there was this episode of Hannah Montana where Jackson pretended he lost his memory. In the 2nd grade, wanted to do it too. I had slipped and fell in the bathroom at school. Then I told my friends I couldn't remember anything. They told the teacher, then I went to the nurse, then I went to the hospital. They were doing hella tests on me. Whole time I'm faking it. I thought my kids were doing their schoolwork. They weren't. They combed my hairy cat and put the fur onto my hairless cat. 5 days left of school here. Thank goodness. When I was 5, I asked my mom why some people were different colors, and she said, because God wanted lots of flavors. And let me tell you, that was the wrong thing to say, because for the next 3 years, I thought God ate people when they died. My son got his car stuck in the snow, and he called it a piece of shit. Bedtime was half an hour ago. My 6-year-old just walked out, blurry-eyed, and asked his father if a duck is a predator. Some things are too important to go to bed without knowing. Thinking about in 7th grade, when I got escorted to the police station after school because they found out I was prank calling local businesses as Ricky Peepee. And when I walked in, the officer who was waiting with my mum to talk to me said, "If it isn't Ricky Peepee, I know there are no dumb questions, but what is the dumbest question someone has ever asked you?" My son saw my pictures of my 5th birthday party and asked why I didn't invite him. Mom uses cardboard cutout of herself to stop kid crying when she leaves room. When I was little, my dad made me believe I could use the bathroom for him. Before going on trips or something, he would say, "Hey, I need to use the bathroom, but I'm busy. Can you go for me?" After I used the bathroom, he'd say thank you. Today, my 3-year-old niece cried because she remembered she hit her leg somewhere 3 days ago. She said she forgot to cry about her leg that day. My kid has been very picky lately, but loves Taco Bell, so I made a homemade meal, and I put it in an old Taco Bell bag, and it actually worked. I think I was 7. I was missing misbehaving at dinner, so my parents sent me to my room. I was dramatic as hell and cried out of my window to the whole neighborhood. Then the window screen broke and I fell 2 stories. I got up and rang the doorbell to tell my parents I fell out of the window. Daughter didn't want sunscreen, so I put her outside and yelled, "Son, get her," and now she's flipping out. I don't know what just happened, but I was at the animal shelter before work and a toddler walked in and pointed at me and went, "I want that one," and his mom just looked at me and said, "You can't have that one. That's a grown man. Package left, front door. Your camera thinks it saw a package delivered." My 11-year-old son made a nail gun with his friend using a Nerf gun. Apparently it works quite well. Oh, you spent $8,000 to take your kids to Disney? My son watched the garbage truck empty our trash 20 minutes ago and he's still talking about it. 4-year-old orders 918 SpongeBob popsicles on Amazon for $2,600. My niece turned 3 today. She asked for a Lion King cake, but specifically the moment where Mufasa dies, because everyone will be too sad to eat the cake and it will be all for me. Took my 3-year-old fishing. He's a natural. What's the dumbest beliefs you had as a child? When I was 5, I swore that bird seeds grew birds, thus the name. When my parents asked me to prove it to them, I planted a pile of bird seed. The next day, there were loads of birds where I planted the seeds, showing I was right. Super excited about my 2-year-old telling me he hears Nana living in the walls. Oh cool, he's saying hi to her. This dad teaching his son how to do a snow angel, gotta be the cutest thing. Don't say you want a Lego tower building contest if you can't handle losing. Needed a 2-minute break from my kids, and they tried breaking into my room. Why does he have a knife? I killed a bug in the laundry room. Apparently it was her best friend. PS5 in for a HDMI replacement. Kid said, I pushed the cable in a little too hard. My son has recently informed me that the wall people, who always have their eyes open, don't like us anymore. Just curious if anyone is free tonight to help me move out. Me. Yes, you were in my belly. 3-year-old. Why? Tears in her eyes. Why did you eat me? My child is desperately wiggling a loose tooth so she can force Santa and the Tooth Fairy to meet and fight. Someone get their kid. OMG. I just joined my nephew's IG live and he goes, "That's my gay uncle, everyone." I don't know why he feels the constant need to tell everyone. Wait, I read that so wrong. Dear parents, we've been made aware of a 1st grader who brought some of his parents' money to school last week and was handing it out to other 1st graders. The money was mostly in $100 bills, but there were also some 20s and some 1s. If any of your kids brought home some expected money last week, could you please let us know? This kid's Mr. Beast. I tried to be nice and gave this little kid $20 for orange juice and his orange juice stand, and he called me stupid because it only costs $1. Damn, my life. I'm looking for a girlfriend that is 9, 10, or 11 or 12. I hope this is a stupid kid. Almost 2-year-old for sale. Been crying for 10 minutes because he can't get in the oven with the cornbread. Entertaining. All offers. Puncturing myself in the balls until I'm famous. Day 3. My 7-year-old son's brilliant way to never lose the only keys he has for his lock told my kids they were allowed to hit each other once per day, so they should really think it through and not waste their one hit, and now they're calmly discussing when might be the best time to hit each other, but the actual hitting has stopped. I'm a genius. Someone farted in class the other day, and a kid accused me of doing it. I told them I don't fart in class, and that if I did, I would go out in the hallway. Now, anytime I leave the class, they ask, "Are you going out to fart?" I'm dead. Mom, can you order pizza? Yes, in a meeting. Can when I'm done. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for always using your money to help me, and all the hard work you put into the family. Thank you. Did you order it? When I was 7, I said that I wanted to be emo. My mom told me that emos pull off their toenails. Later that night, I wrapped my feet in blankets in fear that the emos would come out from under my bed and pull my toenails off. I've had that fear ever since. You can tell a little kid anything, and if you act excited, they will too. I made my bed and found a half-eaten stick of butter in it. When I asked my child if she put anything in Mummy's bed, she said, "I did not put butter in it." The mystery continues. A little kid came up to the ice cream truck today holding a $5 in one hand and a cool leaf in the other. She asked for a bomb pop, and I said, "Okay, that will be 1 leaf please." And she said, "No," and handed me the $5. Children running in museum. Knock over 50,000-pound glass sculpture of Disney Castle. Good. I, 25, told my brother, 7, that I used to play Animal Crossing on my Nintendo DS before there was a Switch, and he asked if it was in black and white. Graham, give the phone to Dad. No. Asked my son to box up his leftover mac and cheese at the restaurant, and he put the entire bowl in there. I'm not sure if he's an idiot or a genius. He's a genius. Children are the best fundraisers because they don't understand economics. Principal, the student who raises $500 for the school will get this free hat. 12-year-old me. That is such a great deal. Redditor with toddlers. What's the most recent illogical breakdown they've had? He loved being tickled, so I was tickling him one day. He let out a huge fart and suddenly started crying and screaming. I asked him why he's screaming, and he replies with, "I was saving that for later." How and why would you save a fart? I had to work park overnight last night, and while taking a nap today, I was vandalized. I have a picture and have detained the 2 suspects, but one is not cooperating. The only one who can speak blames it on the 4-legged suspect, who has no hands to pull off such a stunt. Thanks to my neighbor for pointing out that I have marker all over my face when I took the 4-legged suspect out for a walk before I realized that I was vandalized.